doing a plug.
It's really shameless.
100% shameless.
Okay, Britt, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Tell everyone why you haven't been on camera.
Because I don't like cameras.
Everyone misses you.
Yeah, I miss you guys too. But this is so awkward. Can I just stop it? Right now.
Yeah. Just be like, hi guys.
Hey guys.
Just say it's the TGD Angels.
You say that. I'm reading you say
Angels.
You guys are the worst.
You're like looking at me.
This is the best thing ever.
She was like,
Okay.
you guys are the worst. And like made eye contact.
Prolonged eye contact.
Hey everybody, Sean from The Good Dog. How are we? Check it out. Not a bad view. We got a beautiful, beautiful Thursday afternoon here in Nola. I gotta leave tomorrow. Sad news. Always sad news. Hopefully you guys can hear me. There's a lot of ruckus going on over yonder. It's some kind of crazy, I don't know what kind of contraption, but it's loud. Anyways, hopefully you can hear me. So, a couple things going on. I just want to check in. Like, obviously, I'm in New Orleans. Laura's in LA, so we'll be doing one more version of our cross-country Q&A Saturday because we're determined and desperate to bring it to you every week, and we've been having actually a lot of fun doing it. So, hopefully, you guys are enjoying it as well. So. A lot of dogs in the last couple of weeks. Worked with some heavy-duty guys, heavy-duty cases, resource guarding, fighting with other dogs. I'm going to bring this in a little closer. Now we got a brass band playing. Place is full of action. Give you a little St. Louis Cathedral to make you forget about all the noise. I'm in Jackson Square, by the way. In case anybody doesn't know, this is Jackson Square, and this what sits right at the foot of St. Louis Cathedral. And then just on the opposite side over here, over there, is the Mississippi River. And that cat up there, that's Andrew Jackson. Tipping his hat to Q&A Saturday. Because he digs dog information like all the rest of us. Anyways, so I've had lots of challenging dogs, lots of interesting cases. Me and Cambry have been working our tails off. We had, let's see, God, who did we all have? I have some notes here just to make sure I don't forget anybody. So we had, so Dinah went home today, which was fab. So I'll be posting a video really soon of that, which is pretty amazing. Her mom was pretty moved by her progress. Dinah was fighting with the other dog in the house and had major explosive reactivity on walks. So that was great. Then we had Tucker. And Tucker is still with us. Tucker will be working with Cambry now. And Cambry will be working to get Tucker into a really great space, and he's got biting issues and things like that, so we're really trying to desensitize, and when I say desensitize, get him comfortable with being touched on the collar and things like that and not snapping or biting. So we've made some nice progress, but then we've had some things that have kind of like slid back, so it's going to just be one of those constant, like everything else in life, just keep working, just keep pushing. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. So Cambry will be working with Tucker. Mabel went home. You guys all probably remember Mabel. She was a good challenge. She liked to pee all over my dog bed, which I think she peed on 4 times, which really was highly annoying. So me and Mabel, we still have some issues to work out. But she went home well behaved, and so that's the real upshot. And then Frankie, of course, everybody was following Frankie. Frankie did great. Her owner just kicked ass, made such a huge emotional turnaround and transformation in a couple weeks that we have such good have such high hopes and good feelings for Frankie and her owner and their future together. So I think they're going to really knock it out of the park. So super exciting stuff. So, and then of course back in LA, boy, they're competing with me. Don't you guys know Q&A Saturday shooting? Quite on the set. Anyways, I'm sure you guys can hear me because I'm gonna just talk real loud. So, the TGD LA team, killing it. Henri, Shelby, Laura, and Britt, and Tony, everybody, they're just killing it out there. They've had some pretty serious dogs come through, and they haven't had yours truly to be able to lean on, which is good because it means they got to lean on themselves, and all of the great stuff that you find tends to come from when you lean on yourself. So I trust them implicitly. I know that they've got all the skills, and it's good for them to just have to kind of work things out and problem solve on their own. So that's fantastic. So that's great stuff. I've been super proud of them, and I just trust them completely. So and from the owner reports, things are rocking. So LA team's rocking, Nola team's rocking. We're really kicking a lot of ass, if I do say so myself. Anyways, with that all said, let's jump into the show and try not to scare any of the tourists, okay? Hey everybody, Sean from The Good Dog, and once again to my far left is the lovely, lovely, lovely Laura Morgan, whose nails I have no idea what she's rocking this week. She was doing chrome, and I think chrome might have been a little much for her, so she might have gone somewhere else with it. We'll see. And I'm rocking some of like my fancy, I think they call these Zen Gray Air Force Ones. Can't go wrong with Zen Gray. And all the stuff that you can actually see. Usually there's not a lot to see, but all the stuff you can see. Jackson Square, St. Louis Cathedral, Mr. Jackson himself. He might have a question for us. We'll see. All this great stuff is the Good Dogs Q&A Saturday. Let's check it out. Make sure I got it right. Good Dogs Q&A Saturday, episode 108. And so I can't help Laura because I'm holding a camera. I'll hold up 5 fingers. Laura can do the rest of the math because she's super fancy like that. So I'm sure she can work it out. Maybe she'll get the girls involved and they can put all their hands up and come up with that 108. Anyways, with that all said, Laura Morgan, take it away. Fill in folks, fill in the peeps with anything that you've got cooking. And when you're done with that, then why don't you introduce the first question and we will jump into this program. All right, here we go.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to do an intro. I shot all day and I forgot to do an intro. So I just watched, I'm just cutting this with Sean right now, or not with him, but I'm cutting Sean right now. And I saw he said, say something to introduce or to fill them in. I don't have anything to fill in really. I mean, well, I do. Chrome nails, insane dogs, typical, and the really exciting thing, my book came in the mail, the Coyote and the Pig book. I think I just cut in Brittany plugging it at the very start. It's super exciting. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and it's actually like a real life hardback book. So they smell like brand new books and they're just fantastic. So that's my most exciting news. That came today. It was a shipment of like 750 pounds, which I had no idea it would be that much and that crazy, but it is. So anyway, that's my intro. Episode 108. Sean did great. He put up that 5. That's plenty. We have an exciting show for you today. Sean takes us through New Orleans and I take you through the day with the girls. So we're going to have some fun. All right. And we're going to question number 1.
Okay, I'm going to do it. This is question number 1 from Candace. I've been wondering a lot lately about why the dogs of homeless people are generally very well behaved and hardly ever have a leash on. Would love to hear your insights and take on it.
All right, so the first question, thank you, Laura Morgan. It's a pretty interesting question, right? So this is one that's come up a lot. I think a lot of people contemplate this. A lot of people, some dog trainers have even offered explanations about it and why it might be so, why homeless dogs seem to be chilled, relaxed, and all that. I've actually contemplated writing some stuff up on it because I have some pretty strong feelings about it, about why I think it works, or why I think that we see the results that we see. Here in New Orleans, there's a ton of street kids and homeless people, but a lot of street kids, and they most of them have dogs themselves. So I get to watch it kind of firsthand here in Nola and see how it looks. So a couple things I wanted to read to you just to make sure that you guys get across, or I get across, what I want to share with you guys, right? So I think they're trying to blow me out. Okay, so I'm gonna come in closer. So here's a couple of things that I think are really important about it. One is that there's no contrast. If you think about it, dogs that are homeless dogs tend to live in a non-contrast world, meaning they don't live most of their life inside and then a portion of their life outside, which tends to create a lot of excitement, a lot of novelty, a lot of juice, like, shit, we're going for a walk, oh my God, like, right? Dogs that are homeless dogs, or live with homeless people, or live on the streets, they tend to be in a space where there's no contrast. They're always out on the street. There is no kind of up and down, because they're always in that space of like, hey, we're on the street. We're always walking. We're always doing stuff. We're always included with our owners. So there's no big excitement triggers. There's no big just big crazy contrast. And I hope that makes sense. If you think about it, dogs, they get really excited before they go for a walk. They get really excited when they see other dogs. They get really excited when they see a lot of stuff, and that's all because of contrast, because they typically don't get to see all that stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. So contrast is a big part of it, right? In my personal opinion. Let's see, yeah, there's no novelty to trigger, right? Because the novelty goes away after a while, right? You can't be excited and explosive about dogs and people and things if you're seeing them all the time. So they're constantly exposed to triggers, right? So your dogs are probably not constantly exposed to triggers. Your dogs are probably only experiencing triggers when they go out into the world and when they've got to deal with them, right? So it's a very small portion of their life. They've probably got I don't know, maybe 5 to 10% of their life going out and experiencing and dealing with triggers. Now, if you're a homeless dog, you're around your triggers all day long. If you're worried about motorcycles, or you're worried about bikes, or you're worried about kids, or you're worried about other dogs, there comes a point where that anxiety, fear, concern, worry, focus, it just dissipates because of exposure. Constant exposure. And eventually you're like, there goes another dog. There goes another person. There goes a skateboard, because of exposure stuff. So I'm a firm believer in that, the constant exposure. If you could take most reactive dogs and you could put them in a position where they were 24/7 for a month, exposed to whatever it is that was freaking them out, most wouldn't care about what was freaking them out anymore. So that's just an interesting kind of component of it. Let's see what else we got. And then of course the emotional interaction for a lot of these people, not that they don't care about their pets, but their dogs, or pets might even be a strong word, their dogs are just kind of like part of the team, right? So they're out together, they're foraging to find food, they're working as a team to do their thing. Dog kind of helps keep them safe. They don't typically dote on the dog. They don't typically share oodles of affection. They're not in a space of spoiling the bejesus out of the dog. They just kind of coexist and live together, and it's kind of human and dog doing their thing together. And so what it does is it removes a lot of that kind of conversation that creates dogs that are entitled, empowered, bratty, pushing boundaries, and it keeps them in a really good space of human space, dog space. And I think that's another big component of why you tend to see that stuff work so well, is because it's just humans and dogs hanging out, and there's not a lot of spoiling, gloating, doting, and all that stuff that makes all of our dogs and our kids go sideways. So I think that's another important part of it. Yeah, I think that's really kind of sums it all up, right? So we've basically got no contrast between indoor and outdoor life, which is huge. We've got constant exposure to things they might be freaked out about, which is also really huge. So they get desensitized always. And then the emotional interaction keeps them in a good, mellow, respectful space. It's like, hey, we're walking this way. It's non-negotiable. Like, and then we're gonna lay down here. It's non-negotiable. And we're gonna do this, and it's non-negotiable. And those conversations with dogs keep them in a really good, easy, balanced space to where they're not pushing boundaries and they're not feeling spoiled or entitled. And so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that clarifies. That's my take on it. I know some other people might have some other opinions, but that's my take on it. And I've thought about it a bit. I've watched these dogs around here, and I have a strong suspicion that if you could, like, of course you can't do it, but if you could take a dog and tie it up to a tree, or have one of these homeless kids that was actually like a safe, responsible homeless kid, to just like keep your dog for a month and expose it constantly, most of that stuff would go away. Now that might sound controversial, and like I'm not suggesting you go give your dog to a homeless kid, but what I'm saying is just the mechanics of that, of your dog being exposed constantly and having it done in a way that's very low key and not spoiling and not nurturing in a way of like consoling or, you know, any of that stuff, I think you would see your dog make some pretty amazing transformations. So hope that clarifies. And that is from, I think, Candace. So Candace, hope that helps. All right, see ya, bye.
Question number 2.
All right, question number 2 from Emma Boulderson. So, chewing beds, please. Sick of buying beds to keep my dog warm in the night and coming down to ruin beds. She is crate trained and loves going in it. In fact, I have to keep it shut usually in the day so the bedding doesn't get dirty and smelly quickly. I have to keep her in it at night because she's unpredictable with chewing random things. I'd have her in the bedroom, but unfortunately she is very loud in her sleep and it's just not practical. She gets plenty of exercise and a treat before bed because they are on a raw diet. She gets plenty of other things she can chew during the day, but I don't have toys, I assume, in her bed because she can be a danger to herself and chew and swallow items. Ta-da!
So what's your Cliff Note answer?
Michael, you didn't tell me I had to do it.
No, you don't. You don't. I'll answer, but what do you think, just straight off?
Straight off, she needs to be corrected for chewing beds.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Just how teacher know. I don't know. I didn't even listen. I just got a question.
Autopilot. Hello, Emma. Okay, so I'm at the TGD Ranch and we're working away. But I'm going to answer your question real quick. And Britt did kind of a little Cliff Note thing on what she thought I would say and what she would recommend. And I just think it's a pretty simple answer. If you have a dog who hasn't earned the privilege of having bedding, and when I say earn the privilege, doesn't mean that they're just a dog that's sweet. I'm talking about a dog that's sweet, respectful, and not chewing bedding. So that's a dog who's actually earned bedding, but unfortunately your little one has not. So I would take away the bedding completely. That is also, it doesn't mean it's forever, but right now, your dog hasn't earned the privilege. So take away the bedding. I don't know if you're doing any sort of I don't know if you're doing prong collar work, or I don't know if you're doing e-collar work or anything like that. The best option is what Brittany said at first, which is correcting for that bedding, biting, chewing, or whatever. So a lot of this just sounds like boredom, like silly, like dog, oh, I just get to run the house and I'm gonna go eat this bed and I'm gonna do this and grab this. So I would say just overall your dog needs more structure and rules. I don't know if this is the only behavior. If this is the only behavior that's going down and you're having no other issues, I would say that you could probably just get away with taking the bedding out and not allowing them to have it. But the whole goal is we want our dogs to have bedding. We want them to be able to be comfortable in a crate or whatever. So more structure overall, meaning whether you do it through prong collar, you can go to our YouTube channel and do our free videos, or you can get our DVD. But either way, whether you're doing prong collar work or e-collar work, you need to have more structure, meaning like when you're around, when you're supervising, the dog's in place command, not just wandering, grabbing the bed whenever you're not supervising, maybe the dog needs to be in the crate, just hanging out in the crate. And yeah, I'm trying to think of like the two scenarios. If the dog, like I said, doesn't need any training, you don't want to do any training, take the bedding out. Doesn't work for them. There are some pads, I think, some like crate pads that dogs have trouble chewing up. It's just not as fun as like a pillow. So you could go for that. But my optimal thing would be more training overall, just a more holistic approach, like a full like prong collar or e-collar thing. And then correcting for any time you see the dog going for the bedding, because the goal is, again, we want our dogs to be able to have bedding and be able to be comfortable in the crates, but we just can't have them eating it. Not only is it like bratty and disrespectful and kind of like a pain in the butt to clean up, but also a pain in the butt if the dog swallows it and you have to pay $3,000 at the vet to get it out of their system. They have to do major surgery and all this stuff. So I would just suggest that you take it out or do a full program and correct for that silly behavior, because it's just not right. Okay, hope that helps. Let us know.
The old Natchez.
What are you? Shelby, you want to clip it? There you go. I don't, what? Yeah, you gotta clip it the whole thing. I don't. Are you filming?
Yeah, she's been
Wait
filming.
till I like.
She's just not trying to
Stop. Wait, I don't even know where I am now. Okay. Well, you do it.
No, I can't. I just did 2 in a row. It's your turn.
All right, go for it, Shelbs. You got it. English major.
I haven't even read it yet. Okay.
Just start from the beginning and go from there.
Start at the beginning.
Just say this question's from Michelle.
Okay.
Go, Shelbs.
This is question number 3 from Michelle. She has a dog that's been on e-collar for several months and is generally great and well behaved. Familiar with recall. This is really long.
I'll do this one. I'll do this one. We'll skip that one. Question number 3 comes from Michelle. Michelle says, "Hi, I've had my dog trained on an e-collar for several months now, and she's generally great and well behaved. There are a few things I wanted an answer to that might be similar to other answers you've given in the past, but I was hoping for more insight. I'd like to start off by saying my dog's familiar with recall, and we've been practicing it since I first had her trained. The other day I was taking her out to pee, and there was a woman walking by. I had the remote on me, but after she went, she ran in the direction of the woman. I'm not sure if she was actually going to the person, but highly likely she was, and I gave a correction, but she ran out of my line of sight. This was the first time she had ever done something like this. I brought her out to pee many times with people walking by, including dog." Okay, so she was off leash then. "Yeah, I called come with a higher correction and heard her yelp, but she did not return. She wasn't in her line of sight yet. I called a few more times and cranked it up to the highest level because I was told by my trainer that because recall is so important, if she blows you off, you should bump up the correction quickly, like from 25 basically to 100. It looks like she jumped from 30 to 75 to 99, and that's because she ran out of my line of sight and it was dangerous. I walked towards her direction, saw her sitting in the parking lot in a slouched position, corrected her a few more times at the highest level, but she didn't come in the moment. Boy, I was definitely in her line of sight, but I don't think she lifted her head to look around because at this point she had already been corrected and she was probably scared. After a few more, she ran towards the woman. I think maybe she felt she needed to go next to somebody, didn't see where I was. Yeah, Okay, and while I was still correcting and calm, she eventually came, but I disliked the chain of events, especially given the fact that I corrected her on the highest level many times before she eventually came over to me. Yikes. My question to you is this, this is a hard one. Question to you is this, in this situation, what's the best way to react to this? Something I definitely wonder about is if the dog isn't coming to you after being corrected on the highest level, do you continue correcting at the highest level until they come over, or should you drop the level? With her, sometimes I feel that if I correct on the highest level a few times, then she doesn't seem to have the state of mind to follow through. When I corrected her at the highest level, she still sat there and didn't budge. It just makes me wonder how I could have handled it better. Sorry for the long question, but I love your video and would love to hear your direct feedback on the scenario. Whew, yikes. Okay, well, Sean's going for that one, so I'll let him take it away.
So we've got question number 3. Question number 3 comes from Michelle. Michelle's got kind of an interesting, tough question, and I want to tackle this one and make sure we get some clarity on it, because I think it's one that could lead several owners astray and cause some problems, and I want to create some clarity, because I know we're big purveyors of e-collars. We want to make sure that the work is done right and that everything is being done fair for the dog. So Laura Morgan, of course, has read the question, so you guys know what's cooking. But basically the upshot is that there's a fairly recently trained dog on e-collar. Sounds like went to a professional trainer, but it's still only a few months in, right? Which is really an important part of this conversation. And then she had the dog out, and in a lot of similar contexts, the dog had responded well, but this time the dog saw somebody, ran towards somebody, and blew her off. She, according to her instructions from her trainer, started moving up the dial and got to the highest level of corrections, heard the dog yelp, and the dog just kept going, and so she probably got worried, probably got scared and panicky, and kept hitting the button to try and get the dog back. Now, there's certain contexts where going all the way up, correcting when your dog is 1,000,000,000% clear on how everything works, that can actually be beneficial, right? When you know your dog inside and out, and your dog knows the commands and the behavior and the responses inside and out, and your dog has dealt with higher level pressure inside and out. Now, that said, with a newer trained dog, that's not all going to be concrete like that. So you can't have an expectation of a dog, and this is no diss, but just to give you some clarity, you can't have the expectation of a dog having that kind of clarity about what to do with higher level pressure if the dog hasn't been proofed right. And my suspicion here is that the dog hasn't been proofed correctly or intensely enough or thoroughly enough to make sure that the dog knows what to do with higher level pressure. And there's kind of a whole process to going through this, right? So let me, once again, I've got notes because you know how I roll. So, like I said, the problem sounds like more of an issue of proofing rather than it sounds like an issue of just blatant dog disobedience. Now, of course, the dog did run and didn't respond initially, but that's typical stuff. New dogs out there, even if they've given you good stuff, somebody new comes along, somebody's got something enticing going on, something interesting, and your dog makes a different decision, right? So just because your dog's done well in other contexts doesn't mean that it's going to be consistent everywhere like that. You have to expect the unexpected. Now, like I said, the dog is relatively new to e-collar training. That needs to be factored in as well. So here's some stuff. It's not unusual for an unproofed dog, I'm going to read this to you because I don't want to mess it up, an unproofed dog to try to blow through corrections, right? If a dog hasn't been proofed appropriately, and you probably are going to say, but he has, but I'm going to break this down a little bit more clearly. But if your dog hasn't been proofed appropriately, there's a good chance he might try to blow through the correction. There's a good chance he might panic and run and try and outrun the correction, right? So there's one of screw you, I'm going to run through the correction. 2, I'm freaked out, I'm just going to try and run away and escape the correction. And the other is the dog just becomes confused and doesn't know what to do with it and just kind of shuts down. So all of those are problematic, right? Obviously. So I would really like you to take some steps back, even though you work with a professional trainer and your trainer gave you advice about what to do and how to do it. What I would suggest is that you take these steps back, you get your dog on a 50-foot long line, and you start working your dog on recalls around people and around distractions and around dogs, but in shorter distances. 10 feet, practice those recalls. 15 feet, practice those recalls. 20 feet, practice those recalls. 30 feet, practice those recalls. And start doing it around things that are more and more juicy. What you want to do is pattern your dog that no matter what, your dog keeps coming back, keeps coming back, keeps coming back. And even if you've done some of this work already, sounds like you need to do more of it. Sounds like your dog is not completely proofed on this process. So you're getting one of those 3 suggestions that I made earlier, which is like trying to blow through it, panicking and running away, or just being confused and shutting down and not knowing what to do. So you talked about like laying on the high button and like just like keep popping, and I get it. People get scared, they get nervous when their dog runs away, but you have to have a good read on your dog and know where your dog is at developmentally and training wise, because if you're just popping on this high level, that might just like keep your dog running. You might not get your dog back. So luckily your dog ended up somewhere where you could find it, but some dogs will just keep running. So sometimes the best thing to do is go the opposite direction, go really low and try and move closer to your dog. If you're in this situation, right? So we got 2 different contexts. We've got like proofing and building the process, then we got problem solving if we run into any stuff. So getting back to the problem solving part of it, like if your dog's out of eye contact with you and he's fairly new to e-collar training, you start hitting higher levels, there's a really good chance your dog doesn't know where you're at and doesn't know what the hell to do with it. And so then your dog starts to freak out, because what's happening, he's getting these higher level corrections and he doesn't know what to do to turn them off, right? So I'm not saying you don't have a bratty dog. You might have a dog that's like, screw you, I'm gonna do what I wanna do. But there's a ton of dogs out there that they might make a bad choice initially, but then it's our work to find out how to help them resolve or solve that bad choice in the most positive fashion. So I would, if my dog ran away and I popped him at a high level and I didn't get a proper or appropriate response, I'm going to start moving towards my dog and try and get close to my dog. I'm going to come down on levels and I'm going to try and see if I can get my dog out of a panicky state and see if I can get my dog back into a listening state, which is what you've had in the past, right? Those higher levels are going to stress your dog out extremely highly. They're going to stress your dog out to an extreme level. Your dog's not going to process information normally. Your dog's going to be panicky, he's going to be weird, and he's going to be shut down, and he's going to do all the stuff that you explained. So sometimes instead of saying like, God damn it, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and here's the high level consequence that I've been told to do, instead you go the opposite direction. You dial way, way down. Maybe you don't even use the collar, and you just call your dog in a really easy, pleasant voice. If things have gone sideways, call your dog in an easy, pleasant voice and try and find him, make eye contact with him, and get him back. You don't want to keep chasing him away with an e-collar and possibly like a frantic, like come, recall kind of command thing like that. So sometimes the best thing to do is get off that button, get mellow, get relaxed, go try and get closer to your dog, and then try and fish him out and try some different things. Maybe it's no e-collar, maybe it's very light e-collar. You gotta get kind of clever with that. But before you get to any of that stuff, which is the sticky stuff, you need to proof the dog. The dog needs to know that at 25 feet, if it runs for a dog and you've got a long line on him, and he blows off a command and you dial up, he's got to know that he can't outrun that command, that he can't outrun that stim or that correction, and then you can make sure that he comes back to you. And your dog slowly learns there's no beating that game, right? Your dog slowly learns, I really want to go see that dog, but mom just corrected me and she insisted I came back. I didn't get to blow through it. I didn't get to run away from it. I didn't get to panic. I didn't get to do anything. I just had to come back. And if you start that in small distances on a long line, and you keep recalling the dog back and then increasing the distance slowly and increasing the distractions slowly, you'll find that you get a dog that ends up being far more proofed about what to do when things get dodgy. That said, you may need to use some higher levels if your dog is really, really intent upon going and chasing other dogs, and that's great. If he's really intent on chasing other dogs, then you might need to get high on that e-collar in order to convince him to come back, and that's fine. But the trick is he's on a long line, so that way you make sure you don't lose him. He doesn't panic, he doesn't run away, he doesn't try and outrun the stem. None of the negative aspects happen. You just win. You win in the most positive sense. Both of you, you and your dog win. And that means that you call him back, he doesn't come, you correct high, he goes, I don't know what to do with this. You call him again, you've got the long line, you start reeling him in, and you ensure that he comes to you no matter what, and you repeat the process and repeat the process until your dog learns there's no sense in trying to outrun this, and when I feel this and hear this command, I just turn and come running, right? So that's my suggestion for you. When you see your dog, you were saying like you felt bad, like he looks scared. Yeah, he probably is scared because he doesn't know what to do with the high level corrections. He probably is overwhelmed and he needs more proofing to have a lot of certainty about what to do with those corrections, especially if you're out of eyesight, especially if he's kind of new to this, especially if he doesn't have a long line to give him information, all of that stuff. So take some steps back. I know that you're like, hey, but we've got an e-collar trained dog. Doesn't matter. Take some steps back. Start like, don't start at the beginning, but start foundationally and build yourself up slowly and your dog up to where you have ultimate confidence that he knows what to do no matter what the distractions, and even if he feels higher pressure, to come back to you. All right? I hope that helps. Hey gang, we've got more action, more scenery, right? Come on, we're trying to keep you guys guessing. Let me just get you guys clean. So we got a nice, there we go. Get a fuzz-free kind of interaction here. All right, top of the world right here in Nola. Look at the bridge. I figured I'd share this with you guys. I know you guys have been watching me up here, but we wanted to shake it up and give you some different experiences for this Q&A. So I have ridden all over the city to try and give you guys something fun to watch. Aren't I a good guy? Anyways, okay. So now we got Laura. She's tackling once again like interpersonal problems, which she's super awesome at. Aubrey has got some issues with some roommates, and some roommates that seem to not want to get with the program and are kind of leaving Aubrey hanging, and it's no good. So once again, I trust that Laura and her helpful assistants, if they're on duty, will make sure that there's a very groovy, fantastic, insightful answer that Aubrey gets from this. So that means it's time.
So question number 4, and this is from Aubrey White. I submitted a question last session and I'm thankful for the great reply. Good job, guys. This is more of a follow-up question to that. I have 2 housemates that are extremely lax and passive regarding Tam. They think the manifestations of her anxiety are just normal behaviors for her breed. They view everything I do or try to do with her in a light of being mean or controlling, and constantly question me or interfere with training. I got so discouraged and sick of it that I just gave up. Sorry. Okay, I can't train Tam on my own due to disability stuff, but I know I have work cut out for me without them. How can I explain the importance of the exercises recommended and enlist their help? And if I can't, is it realistic to tell them to just shut up and stop interfering? I am beyond the point of tact here. Please tell them to shut up. From me and everyone at the Good Talk.
Andre? You agree? Shall we? Oh my gosh. Okay, Aubrey, this is a great question. I think I answered your question last time, or I do remember it was two episodes ago. I think Henri was the one who asked it, and it was about basically your dog Tam, who is, you were looking to have him be a therapy dog, but you obviously figured out that that was not like the right place for what he was doing. So here's the short answer is what the girls said, which is you have to tell them to stop interfering. But the tricky part with that is that you need them. So I'm concerned just about that. I feel like just on a general level, regardless of dog training or whatever, if you have people that you're living with, that you're relying on, that are friends of yours, that are questioning your choices pretty hard, and I'm assuming criticizing what you do, diminishing what you're doing that's actually working with your dog and all that stuff, I just like take the dog out of it. It sounds like a pretty bad, shitty situation. And with friends like those, who needs enemies, right? So my hope would be that your friends would be like, you know, nice and supportive of you, even if they don't really understand it, or they're just like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this before. But it's not like you're doing anything major. All you're doing is adding some structure and rules, which is making your dog more comfortable, because your dog was kind of a disaster before around any distractions and all that stuff. So it's a weird one. It's not like you're like doing all this stuff that you would that people could like disagree with beyond just like, oh, I kind of disagree with that, but whatever. But you have like friends that are strongly disagreeing with you a lot, which is strange. So they're friends and roommates, I assume. But the fact that you're relying on them for help with the training stuff makes me think that they're probably friends as well as roommates. So it's a tough one. Like I said, I feel like the main answer would be to tell them to leave you alone and just stop talking to you at all about anything, that any dog training thing or anything that they're criticizing to you. But, you know, if you need them to help you because of your disabilities, they just may not be the right help, you know? Of course, if they're living with you, you have to have them following some sort of guidance, but that doesn't mean they have to really like help and like do the work. You know, if I had two housemates that were like that, I'd be looking for another house, first of all. And I'd be looking into, even more than that, I'd be looking into, why am I in a house with people like this? Not just like, oh, the rent's good or whatever, but like, why am I allowing this to go on? And why do I even like consider it as a possibility that this is okay, that people that don't live my life are trying to encroach on my choices? So that's kind of the first part. I would say like the best way, well, he likes you. This is our new guy. What was that? It's just like a subliminal message. There's a book in the background. I think you guys should just look into whatever's going on behind me. No. But yeah, I feel like, you know, you're in a perfect world, you don't ask them for help, you don't need them for help, and you work with them. You work with Tam whenever they're not around, and then when they are around, Tam gets put away, because Tam is a super anxious dog, and we don't want that mixed message of like, all of a sudden the housemates come home and maybe are giving lots of affection or no rules or anything like that, and Tam's literally going to come undone. So the big hope would be that Tam could be put away when they're home, or you're in your room. I assume maybe you have a separate room from them. You could be in your room and Tam could be on place command, and you guys could have this nice little life. I don't know what your disability stuff is going on. I really don't have any idea. But what's cool about this training is that it doesn't require a ton of like physical stuff, anything like that. So what you could be doing is just a lot of passive training with Tam, which doesn't require the help of those people unless you have Tam out and about in the house, wandering or on place command while they're out. I would just make yourself a lot more like insular into your room whenever you're doing training. And then whenever you're out on a walk, if you are walking, Tam, then you do that too, alone. So take them out of the equation, but even more than that, look into why you have people like that in your life and why you're even needing to think about them. If it's a situation you can't get out of, a living situation, why would you even be in a position of like considering them when they're really not being considerate of you and your choices at all? That's a hard one. I totally get that feeling of kind of like hopelessness and like that you don't know what to do, but you have mine and the girls' permission to just tell them to knock it off. It doesn't have to be tactless. They're being tactless, actually. So the best thing you can do is just come back with like, these are just the new rules, and Tam's put away, and Tam's all about me and in my room working with them. So hope that helps. Check in with us and let us know if there's anything else we need to know about that situation that I might have missed. But you're rocking and rolling. Don't worry about what other people are telling you to do. Okay? Knock it out of the park.
Pretty, ain't she? You can actually take little cruises, go out for lunch and dinner. Got some jazz on board. Not too shabby. It's a good way to see the Mississippi. Say hi, everybody. Ain't she beautiful?
It's hot. And then I think she hit send too soon. The first one's just like, hi, comma.
You should have question number 5.
Hi.
Question number 6.
I'll do that, yeah.
Hit
No,
it.
I forgot. I was about to touch him and I forgot he was down.
Oh.
Why are you touching dogs?
And
I was
he's
just about to
a
touch him
brand
with my
new
foot.
border tree.
Why would you touch him with your...
I don't know. He's right there.
You just wanted to pet him because he looks soft.
No.
Question number 5. Hi. From Emma K. And then she says, blah, blah, blah. My 1-year-old cockapoo is obedient to a point. Excellent at stay, sit down, all the usual commands. She struggles with impulse control and is very, very excitable. Although we limit the affection, this is hard when on the street, as having a cute dog leads to lots of fuss from strangers. In the house, she isn't allowed on the sofa, but she constantly jumps up at our knees when sitting for affection. When we correct her and push her off, she has started to attempt biting us. Any tips? Cheers.
Do you have any tips?
Just tell her no.
Okay, so we got question number 5. Thank you, Laura, for reading it. I hope you read it, unless it was Shelby or Henri or Manny. I'm gonna trust it's you, Laura. Okay, anyways, so Emma K has got a cockapoo that's demanding attention and biting. Emma K, that's not okay. I think you know that. I think that's why you wrote in. So, you say that you follow me and Jeff, so that's super awesome. Following me and Jeff will definitely get you on the right track as far as getting you the basic foundational kind of concepts about how to go about addressing this stuff. Hey guys, how you doing? And we got visitors out here, so I'm like including everybody in the show. So I'm glad that you follow me and Jeff, because that should give you a lot of foundational insights, principles, philosophy, concepts, tools, approach, and stuff like that. If you're watching us, you got a real good shot at making this stuff happen, because this what you're sharing is really not a super significant, challenging case. Although it might feel like one for you, it's really not that tough of one. Okay, so let's see what we got. So we've got demanding attention. Sounds like entitled, bratty, right, pushy stuff, and then biting. And I think you actually said drawing blood and stuff like that, which is no bueno. I think we've got like a little weird thing on the lens here, so I'm trying to keep you guys away from the. Let's see if I can just do a little pivot here. There we go. That's a little bit better. A little less. Ooh, that's nice light. You know me, I'm always hunting for the nice light. Notice the beard still hasn't gone yet. Somebody told me it was No Shave November, so I'm gonna roll with that. Anyways, so here's what you need to do, Emma K. You need to get, if you don't already have, a 2.25 Herm Springer prong collar for this little demon of yours. I'm sure she's a very cute demon. But she needs a prong collar on, and she needs a prong collar and a leash on inside the house. She needs to be dragging that leash and prong collar, not dragging the prong collar. She needs to be wearing the prong collar and dragging the leash. You can get a really light leash. You can even get like a vet leash, like just a really thin little one, and cut it off to where you have a handle with it. So it's not like she's dragging a boat anchor. So I would do that. I would get her something to where you have control in the house, to where you can influence, talk to her, communicate, share what you like, what you don't like. And then same thing goes for the walk, except I just use a regular leash and the prong collar. So that all said, your dog needs foundational work in order to change the relationship, to change the perception, get the mindset right, attitude right, personality right. How do we do that? Foundation work, right? I mean, primarily it's foundation work. It always sounds like overly simplistic, but it just works. That's why we recommend it. So basically, your dog needs to learn place, thresholds, sit, down, heel, I need more fingers, crate, waiting for food, and like recall something I wouldn't even like recall something that can come later, but these are all the behaviors that are going to have the greatest impact on the state of mind for what you're dealing with right now. Let me make sure I covered those. So we got place, structured walk, right? I think I covered that. Crate, waiting for food, thresholds, sit, and down. Now you start asking all these behaviors and training them. You can use mine or Jeff's do-it-yourself videos, and you start using those, and what starts happening is your dog is required to do things that you're asking of it. It starts to shift the dynamic, starts to shift the relationship, starts to tweak the relationship into a more positive space. Rather than a dog dictating rules to the owner, the dog is now having rules and structure and expectations dictated to it. That tremendously changes that dynamic and puts the dog into a much more safe, respectful, polite space. I hope that makes sense. Using obedience as a gateway to changing the state of mind and attitude to where you get the best dog you can get. I don't care so much about the sit down and the place. That's frosting on top, right? If your dog does all that stuff. What I do care about is that your dog will perform those activities when asked. Why? Because that will change the state of mind, that will get the personality right, that will get the politeness that you're looking for, and probably without even addressing it, it will get rid of the nagging, asking for attention, and the biting and stuff like that. So that's first order of business. A lot of work, so you have to want it. If you don't want it, too much work, like I can put up with it, then you'll just have what you have. But if you're ready to do the work, you can jam on it. So you were also saying that people want to pet her because she's so cute and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's just going to reinforce this like princess, entitled, empowered, everybody loves me, I'm on a pedestal. It's just going to reinforce that and make your life way harder. So what I would suggest, and I bet if you ask Jeff, he'd suggest the same thing, but probably a little more firmly, that don't let anybody pet your dog. train your dog, work with your dog, walk your dog. People ask, tell them that your dog is in training. Prioritize your dog's good behavior over social pressure to allow your dog to be pet, or any of the props or stuff that you get out of having your dog being the cute one that gets pet, right? Prioritize your dog's better behavior over the other people and over you. Let's make that a primary focus, right? Don't let people fawn all over her. Just like if people fawn all over children all the time, they become entitled brats. It's real simple stuff, right? Now, we get to the nitty-gritty, which is if you still have any biting or any demanding stuff, that stuff's going to be corrected. That's just going to be addressed directly. So we have a two-pronged approach, right? Two-pronged approach is overall comprehensive foundational work through all of the training I just told you to do. Dogs dragging a leash attached to a prong collar in the house whenever you're supervising, and you're enforcing place command, duration place command, sits and downs and all that stuff, and your dog's like, holy mackerel, I have to listen and do all this stuff. I thought I was the queen of the world. Where did my throne go? Where did my crown go? How did things all get like this, right? So super important with that. But then if your dog tries any nasty, nefarious stuff about like biting, your dog gets corrected firmly for that. There's no monkeying around. There's no like give her a treat to redirect her or throw a toy or any silliness like that. Do not embark on silly stuff like that that doesn't give your dog firm, clear information about what's okay and what's not okay. Your dog goes to bite, chew, or be demanding, your dog gets corrected straight away. I'd say no, and I'd give a sideways firm pop with the leash and prong. How do you know how firm to go? How do you know what's the right level? Your dog will tell you. When your dog stops nibbling, when your dog stops biting, when your dog stops demanding attention, you'll know that you just found a level that your dog goes, you know what, that's more valuable than all this stuff that I'm trying to get from these people, right? So two-pronged approach, comprehensive, and then directly addressing any nasty behavior like that. That all said, you do place command right and teach the dog all of this other comprehensive kind of overview training, foundational work, and you probably won't even see that stuff. Dogs can't beg from place. Dogs can't bite from place, right? So if you enforce that and do a good job with that, that stuff will be easy peasy and be all done. So hopefully that makes it clear. Two-pronged approach. Get all the basics together, and then if you get any nasty stuff, make sure you address that firmly and let your dog know, I'm not down for that. And let your dog make clear, smart decisions. I think that should help. Also, just a real quick little aside, I posted on my Facebook page, which will be after this comes out, probably like 4, 5, 6 days down, there's the TGD prong collar essentials, and that will walk you through all of these behaviors and with links to all the YouTube videos, so you can do all this yourself and you don't even have to pay anybody, and you can make your dog awesome. So hopefully, Emma K, that helps you and your dog. You really got an easy case. You just need to implement some of the basics and then like tell your dog no for being a jackass, and you'll be on the road to awesomeness. So hope that helps.
That was a fun one. Okay, I'm getting in the car and I'm headed off to cut this sucker. So thank you guys for joining us. Thanks, Sean, for all your hard work, and I will be seeing you, Sean, in very brief, like couple hours, I think, or like at least 12 hours. I'll see you tomorrow. So enjoy, guys. Thanks so much for hanging with us. And this week or next week we'll be back to business as usual. All right. Not with no voice like me, dumbass. You're like,
I lost my voice. I'm sorry.
oh my gosh. Say goodbye to everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Say you can't wait to see Sean.
We can't wait to see Sean.
I mean, this is so weird.
Okay, gang, so that wraps up another episode of Q&A Saturday. Excuse me, long distance styles. I'll be back in LA tomorrow night, so the next Q&A will be more of the regular, normal, the one you're used to. but it may not be as exotic as this, but it will be more cohesive and well put together. And there may even be some ice cream and Indian food involved in the mix, because that's kind of sorely lacking or sorely missing here. So, but Sean from The Good Dog here in New Orleans, thank you guys all for supporting, participating, commenting, watching, sharing, all the great stuff that you guys do with all the content that we put out there, and for watching this show and supporting us on this show and sharing information from here with other people that need it. We appreciate you so much. I hope you guys all have an awesome, I guess, weekend. This will be Saturday. Have an awesome weekend. We'll talk to you soon. We love you all, and take care of yourselves, all right? See ya. Bye.
Thanks for watching the show.
Peace. All right, great. Bye.